Welcome, everyone, and thank you in advance for participating in the second session of the task analysis for the ABLE Administrator Standards. My name is Dawn Snyder. I'm serving as one of the task analysis facilitators, and the purpose of providing you this presentation is to get you up to speed on the task analysis process. There are two other documents you may want to reference during this presentation. One is the ABLE Administrator DACOM chart, and the other is the completed sample task analysis, which is an Excel spreadsheet. You've been asked to participate as part of the ABLE Administrator Standards revision. Generally speaking, standards need to be revised every 3 to 5 years to ensure that they're accurate and up to date. Because there have been changes in expectations for ABLE administrators, OBR felt that now was an appropriate time to revise the standards. The teacher standards were revised last fiscal year, and the support staff standards will be revised in the upcoming fiscal year. Look at the process. The revision process begins with a job analysis where the entire job is defined. That's followed by a verification where everyone in the field is invited to give input on the job analysis findings. The verification is followed by a task analysis where critical job tasks are broken down into their component parts, and all of this data is used to support decisions to give you the most relevant and effective professional development. The first step in the process, as I said a minute ago, is to conduct a job analysis of the ABLE administrator job. We used a process known as DACOM, which stands for Developing a Curriculum. This job analysis process has been around for well over 40 years, and it's used often in curriculum development, human resources and organizational development, management decision making, assessment and testing, career advising, certification and credentialing. Here at SEAT, we've most recently used this process for things like revising the ABLE teacher standards and also in building a career lattice for direct service workers. This is a healthcare project. SEAT staff have used this process countless times around the world. Based on our background with standards development and with job analysis, the DACOM process was determined the best approach for revising the ABLE practitioner standard. There are some terms you're going to see as you approach the task analysis work. In DACOM, we look at the whole job represented by the rectangle on the top right. The whole job can be further divided into duties. A duty is a cluster of related tasks. There are usually 6 to 12 duties per job. Tasks are specific, meaningful units of work that result in a product, service, or decision. Duties can be divided into these meaningful units of work, and there are up to 125 tasks for any job. You can refer to the ABLE Administrator DACOM chart to see the duties and tasks that were identified for the ABLE Administrator job. What follows the job analysis is a task verification. You will have received the statewide survey that was sent to everybody in the field. Respondents were asked to look at every duty and task and rate the frequency with which they perform the task, and also asked to rate the importance of the task. We use that data to determine the criticality of each task, and ultimately we want to see which tasks are the most critical for ABLE administrators to perform on the job. In addition, that survey asked about worker behaviors, tools and equipment, and knowledge, skills, and abilities. Again, we're looking to determine which of these were the most essential to job performance. This data, coupled with the work that you will do with the task analysis, will solidify the standards and help us develop professional development activities. Let's talk a little bit about the task analysis process itself. When you go in to do the task analysis, you'll be sitting in a small group with a facilitator. The facilitator is responsible to prompt you through the task analysis process and to make sure that the work conforms to the task analysis standards. But these are the kind of things that you'll be doing in your small group. You'll analyze each task to identify steps or activities. the tools, equipment, supplies, and materials, the related knowledge that's required to perform that step, such as math, science, language, the worker behaviors or attitudes that make a difference in performance, the decisions, cues, and errors for each step, and also the performance standards or criteria for successful performance. I'm going to take a minute and discuss each of these various analysis pieces. You can also take a look at the sample task analysis to see how each of those play out for able instructors in the task that was chosen for the sample. The first thing we do in our groups is list the steps of a task. We want to make sure that they're appropriate size relative to the breakdown of the job. We want the steps to be in a natural sequence. Many tasks have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and the order that we put the steps in should reflect that. We also want to make sure that the steps are complete, that all the activities necessary to complete the task are provided and recorded in the task analysis template. The second thing we usually look at are the tools, equipment, supplies, and materials for each step. What items will an able administrator need to perform the task? We also look at the required knowledge and skills. This can be anything that might be prerequisite knowledge or information for completing the task, such as key terms and concepts, any information that enables an able administrator to perform the step or make correct decisions. We also consider any basic skills, science, math, language, even computer skills, and record those on the task analysis template. Another thing that we identify step by step are the worker behaviors or attitudes. And we identify these because they can be the most important factor that influences success in performing the task. And it provides new hires or novices to the job an understanding of what behaviors and attitudes are important to the job. Another thing that we identify are key decisions, cues, and errors. So what we want to do is specify all the decisions that an able administrator makes while performing the specific step in the task. We also identify cues or signals that provide information for making each decision. And we identify errors that result from incorrect decisions. And finally, my favorite category is the performance standards. These specify the criteria for success. We try to write the performance standards in such a way that the criteria are specific, observable, and measurable. And we want to make sure that the criteria are consistent with industry standards and best practices. Now, I know this was a very quick review of the task analysis process, but I want to reassure you that your facilitator and the other subject matter experts who are more experienced in this process will be there to help support you as you go through the first task or two. After that, you should feel completely comfortable moving through the task analysis process. If you do have any questions, however, we invite you to contact Adrian Boggs or bring your question to the session and discuss it with the facilitator before the task analysis session begins. Thank you very much for your attention.